got for us? Simphiwe, are you able to hear us? What's the latest on your side?
I don't know if you can hear me, Desiree, but I can hear you very well. In your visuals, you should be seeing the provincial government led by Premier Sihlezi Kalala entering the palace at KwaKhangelamankengane Royal Palace. Earlier on, we did have the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zulu, who also paid her visit to the palace. Just a few moments ago, Mntwana kaPhindangene, AmaZulu Traditional Prime Minister Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi also made his way inside the palace. As it is now, members of the provincial government can see the MEC for Agriculture and see the Director General of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Dr. Nonhlanhla Mkhize, about to enter the palace, where the proceedings in terms of offering their words of condolences and mourning are actually going to be conducted. I'm going to ask my colleague Tulani Ngcobo just to give you a sense of what is happening inside the palace. You see in your visuals there a group of people, most of them coming from the traditional authorities such as their izindunas and amakhosi, also gathered here to pay their respect to the regent Queen Mantfombi Dlamini Zulu. Earlier on, Desiree, we did have an opportunity to speak to Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zulu, basically reflecting on the life of the late Queen. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Okay, Simphiwe, we seemingly don't have that clip. We'll play it in a bit, but you can continue giving us setting the scene for us in terms of what's happening where you are.
Definitely, Desiree. The people who have been making their way inside the palace here have been, coming here to pay their respect, and also saying that this is a double blow for the royal family, because you recall that a few weeks ago, AmaZulu, the late AmaZulu king, that's Goodwill Zwelithini Kabheka Zulu, departed. And just weeks after that, and now this tragedy has once again struck the royal family. But it's not only the issue of the departure that is of concern here at Desiree. The issue of succession in the royal family has come into sharp focus over the past few days after the news of the departure of Queen Mantfombi Dlamini Zulu broke. You'd recall that according to the initial will, she was named as the regent, person who was going to be taking over the responsibilities of the late AmaZulu king, and also be in a position to name the successor of the AmaZulu king, Goodwill Zwelithini. But of course, that now has been clouded by these court processes, which are going to be underway very shortly. A certain group from the royal family, led by senior members of the royal family, have actually been addressing members of the media, raising their concerns about these divisions, which appear, to be, crippling in as the issue of succession, is slowly, starting to, heat up, if I may use that term. The Prince of Mangosuthu Buthelezi, rather, the traditional Prime Minister of AmaZulu, was at pains yesterday to condemn what he called parallel structures and parallel meetings being held by some senior members of the royal family without him knowing about those meetings, because he still regards himself as the traditional Prime Minister and a person who should be responsible in terms of communicating the message of the royal family. In terms of the court processes, Desiree, that are currently underway, two princesses from the king's first wife have now taken the matter to court. What they are basically, arguing is that they do not think, or they allege that the will that was actually read out to them, they are basically challenging the authenticity of that will. And their mother, the first princess of the first wife of King Goodwill Kazwelithini Bheka Zulu, Princess Sibongile Dlamini, is also challenging the issue, of her wanting to be the only recognized, wife of the late AmaZulu King Goodwill Zwelithini Bheka Zulu. So the situation in the royal household, one may say, is that of volatility with these court processes now beginning to emerge as the issue of succession is being brought into sharp focus. But in terms, Desiree, of the proceedings, we are expecting the Queen's body to be brought to the palace on Wednesday, and then thereafter a memorial service will be held for her on Friday. The provincial government earlier this week confirmed that they have written to the presidency requesting President Cyril Ramaphosa to consider granting this funeral as a special provincial funeral. We are still awaiting that confirmation from the president as to whether the request is being approved, and if so, what is going to be the process going forward. But what we do know is that the memorial service will take place on Friday, and on Thursday at the crack of dawn, according to the statement which was issued by AmaZulu traditional Prime Minister Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, there is going to be now her burial, which is going to take place on Thursday at the crack of dawn. The situation here, Desiree, is that members of the provincial executive are inside the palace as we speak, led by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, to offer their words of condolences to the royal family, and then thereafter they will be able to engage members of the media in terms of where the process of that request is with regards to the presidency. Desiree?
Simphiwe, we seem to have that clip you were speaking about ready, so let's play it now.
We are all very sad in the departure of the Queen Mantfombi Dlamini Zulu, because she was one of the women who had a very caring heart. She cared a lot, especially for young women and for women. She was concerned about women, young girls especially, going to school, making sure that teenage pregnancies must be dealt with and reduced. And generally, she was a caring person and very developmental, especially when it comes to women and girl children. So we will miss that. And of course, coming from Swaziland, she also brought the Swazi aspects of things. So she really revived a lot of things.
We've just played a bit of the clips in Simphiwe, and I just want to ask you, and you can correct me here. As far as I know, Queen Sibongile Dlamini also comes from the Swazi royal household, and he apparently suggested to bring in the late Queen Mantfombi into the fold, just in terms of that court challenge she has of being recognized as the only legal wife. Is this the case?
Desiree, the information that you are giving me is indeed correct, but according to the Zulu cultural customs, it is said that the wife who should name who basically the king will come from in terms of the children is the wife who was basically paid for in terms of the lobola negotiations and other things by the kingdom that wife is going to be married into. So that is the situation, Desiree, as we understand it. But in terms of what the Kokta Minister, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, had to say earlier on when we spoke to her about the issue of unity within the AmaZulu, royal house, this is what she had to say.
I would say to the royal family, this is a very difficult time for them. as much as it's a difficult time for the nation, but specifically for them having lost 3 senior members of the royal family in succession. Of course, these kind of departures of senior people sometimes create tensions, but we are hoping that they will be able to go deep inside and find a way of keeping together and keeping the stability of the royal family. Because if the royal family is stable, the people are stable. But if there is tension, then it might spill out outside the royal family. So we are pleading with them to get into their inner strength and really go through this period as the royal family. Nobody is perfect, but let them try. We're praying for them, and we are hoping and wishing for them that they be able to stay together, and whatever needs to be ironed out, they iron it out within the family and keep the stability of the royal family.
Well, that's Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zulu speaking to us earlier about, the issue of unity in the AmaZulu royal family. And that issue, Desiree, is going to be very crucial in the next coming days, because in terms of these court processes, we will be in a position to understand if they are indeed going to be going ahead, and if the issue of succession is going to be affected by these court processes which are currently underway. At the moment, members of the provincial executive are currently inside the palace, being led by the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala, as well as the AmaZulu traditional Prime Minister, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who, by the way, yesterday expressed a great deal of sadness by these developments which are currently, taking place in the royal family, where you have a certain group which is led by some senior members of the royal family, calling meetings, parallel meetings. The Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi calls them without him knowing. Desiree?
I just want to take you back, Simphiwe, to that court challenge. We've seen the processes, a document that shows that Queen Sibongile Winifred Zulu, as an applicant, and having stated about 20 respondents, about 6 queens in there, princess, 2 princesses, a few princes, other persons who may be members of Umdeni Wesilo. Do we know what prompted the Queen to feel that internal discussions did not suffice and she needed to go the legal route? Did she feel like she was being treated unfairly, or that she was not being heard?
That's one of the allegations, Desiree, that Princess Thembi actually made during a media briefing which was held yesterday. But Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi was very quick to throw those allegations out, saying that, ever since the late AmaZulu King Goodwill Zwelithini departed, if they were holding meetings as the royal family, everyone was actually allowed to have her say or his say in those meetings. But the issue that we are talking about, Desiree, is a very volatile and important one as we head to these next few days when the Queen is going to be buried. It remains to be seen what will happen in terms of the throne of the AmaZulu royal family, which is a very crucial part in terms of this part of the province. The influence that that position has in terms of the operations of the provincial government. About 60 or so million rand is allocated as a budget to the King of AmaZulu on a yearly basis. So the issue of finances, Desiree, is also a very crucial one indeed.
So that provincial government delegation that just came through, quite a big delegation, is this an indication of how important this matter is?
Certainly, Desiree, it is quite a big delegation, and throughout the week, since the beginning of the week actually, we have seen quite a number of people making their way inside the palace, different, members of the, or from different sectors of society, such as your church leaders. I've seen a few of them already here earlier on this morning, making their way inside the palace. But the statement which was issued by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, updating the nation about the preparations of the burial, towards the end of that statement, it is stated that, I'm not sure if I have it here with me, I'm just going to try, and go through it. In terms of the COVID-19 protocols, the Prince was basically said that, regrettably, the COVID-19 pandemic remains with us. A request must be made for members of the public to refrain from travelling to the palace to pay their respect. Her Majesty's memorial service will be attended by members of the royal families, both from the Zulu Kingdom and Eswatini Kingdom. So basically urging members of the community to refrain from attending this event, which is likely to have quite a significant interest in terms of people attending. Desiree?
Simphiwe, we're going to leave it there. Hopefully you'll update us again as soon as the provincial government has completed their business inside, coming out to give that update. But till then, thank you so much. That Simphiwe Makhanya bring us up to speed in terms of the KZN provincial government and members of COGTA going through to give their condolences and give an update on the provincial situation. But that's it from